The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. Welcome back to the Berean Pursuit. This is week 50, day 1. Today we're reading from Nehemiah chapters 10 through 13 and Revelation chapter 8. Last time in Nehemiah, we were seeing how they were reading the law of God and they were understanding it and they were doing it, putting it into practice, but they also made a confession to God about their sinfulness and how they wound up where they were at this time. And they made a covenant that was in writing and they signed the document. And so what we're going to start with today are the ones that signed this document, this covenant, this agreement, and we should see what is in the document as well. All right, let's get into our reading in Nehemiah chapters 10 through 13. Now these were the ones who sealed the document: Nehemiah the governor, son of Hakaliah, and also Zedekiah, Sariah, Azariah, Jeremiah, Pashur, Amariah, Malchijah, Hattush, Shebaniah, Malach, Haram, Meremoth, Obadiah, Daniel, Ginnethon, Baruch, Meshullam, Abijah, Mijamin, Maaziah, Bilgai, and Shemaiah. These were the priests. The Levites: Jeshua, son of Azaniah, Benui of the sons of Henadad, Kadmiel and their associates, Shebaniah, Hodiah, Kelita, Peliah, Hanan, Micah, Rehob, Hashabiah, Zachar, Sherebiah, Shebaniah, Hodiah, Bani, and Beninu. And the leaders of the people: Parash, Pahath Moab, Elam, Zatu, Bani, Bunni, Asgad, Bebai, Adonijah, Bigvai, Aden, Ater, Hezekiah, Azar, Hodiah, Hashem, Bezai, Hariph, Anathoth, Nebai, Magpiash, Meshullam, Hezir, Meshezabel, Zadok, Jaddua, Pelatiah, Hanan, Aniah, Hoshea, Hananiah, Hashab, Halohesh, Pilha, Shobek, Rehum, Hashabna, Masiah, Ahijah, Hanan, Anan, Malach, Haram, and Bana. The rest of the people, the priests, Levites, gatekeepers, singers, temple servants, and all who had separated themselves from the people of the land to obey the law of God, along with their wives and all their sons and daughters who were able to understand, hereby join with their noble brothers and commit themselves with a sworn oath to follow the law of God given through his servant Moses, and to carefully obey all the commandments, ordinances, and statutes of the Lord our Lord. We will not give our daughters in marriage to the people of the land, and we will not take their daughters for our sons. When the people of the land bring merchandise or any kind of grain to sell on the Sabbath day, we will not buy from them on a Sabbath or holy day. Every 7th year we will let the fields lie fallow and will cancel every debt. We also place ourselves under the obligation to contribute 1/3 of a shekel yearly for the service of the house of our God, for the showbread, for the regular grain offerings and burnt offerings, for the Sabbath offerings, for the new moons and appointed feasts, for the holy offerings, for the sin offerings to make atonement for Israel, and for all the duties of the house of our God. We have cast lots among the priests, Levites, and people for the donation of wood by our families at the appointed times each year. They are to bring it to the house of our God to burn on the altar of the Lord our God, as it is written in the law. We will also bring the first fruits of our land and of every fruit tree to the house of the Lord year by year. And we will bring the firstborn of our sons and our livestock, as it is written in the law, and will bring the firstborn of our herds and flocks to the house of our God, to the priests who minister in the house of our God. Moreover, we will bring to the priests at the storerooms of the house of our God the firstfruits of our dough, of our grain offerings, of the fruit of all our trees, and of our new wine and oil. 1/10 of our produce belongs to the Levites, so that they shall receive tithes in all the towns where we labor. A priest of Aaron's line is to accompany the Levites when they collect the tenth, and the Levites are to bring a tenth of these tithes to the storerooms of the treasury in the house of our God. For the Israelites and the Levites are to bring the contributions of grain, new wine, and oil to the storerooms where the articles of the sanctuary are kept, and where the ministering priests, the gatekeepers, and the singers stay. Thus we will not neglect the house of our God. Now the leaders of the people settled in Jerusalem, and the rest of the people cast lots to bring 1 out of 10 to live in the holy city of Jerusalem, while the remaining 9 were to dwell in their own towns. And the people blessed all the men who volunteered to live in Jerusalem. These are the heads of the provinces who settled in Jerusalem. In the villages of Judah, however, each lived on his own property in their towns. The Israelites, priests, Levites, temple servants, and descendants of Solomon's servants, while some of the descendants of Judah and Benjamin settled in Jerusalem. From the descendants of Judah, Athaiah, son of Uzziah, the son of Zechariah, the son of Amariah, the son of Shephatiah, the son of Mahalalel, a descendant of Perez, and Messiah, son of Baruch, the son of Kolhose, the son of Haziah, the son of Adiah, the son of Joiarib, the son of Zechariah, a descendant of Shelah. The descendants of Perez, who settled in Jerusalem, totaled 468 men of valor. From the descendants of Benjamin, Sallu, son of Meshullam, the son of Joed, the son of Pedaiah, the son of Koliah, the son of Maaseiah, the son of Ithiel, the son of Jeshiah, and his followers, Gabai and Salai, 928 men. Joel, son of Zichri, was the officer over them, and Judah, son of Hasenua, was over the 2nd district of the city. From the priests, Jediah, son of Joiarib, Jachin, Sariah, son of Hilkiah, the son of Meshullam, the son of Zadok, the son of Marioth, the son of Ahitub, the chief official of the house of God, and their associates who did the work at the temple, 822 men. Adiah, son of Jeroham, the son of Pelaliah, the son of Amzi, the son of Zechariah, the son of Pashur, the son of Malchijah, and his associates, the leaders of families, 242 men. Amashai, son of Azarel, the son of Azai, the son of Meshillamoth, the son of Immer, and his associates, 128 mighty men of valor. Zabdiel, son of Haggedolim, was their overseer. From the Levites, Shemaiah, son of Hashab, the son of Azrikam, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Buni, Shabbathai and Jozabad, 2 leaders of the Levites who supervised the work outside the house of God. Mattaniah, son of Micah, the son of Zabdi, the son of Asaph, who led in thanksgiving and prayer. Bakbukiah, second among his associates, and Abda, son of Shemua, the son of Galal, the son of Jeduthun. The Levites in the holy city totaled 284. And the gatekeepers, Akab, Talmon, and their associates who kept watch at the gates, 172 men. The rest of the Israelites with the priests and Levites were in all the villages of Judah, each on his own inheritance. The temple servants lived on the hill of Ophel, with Ziha and Gishpa over them. Now the overseer of the Levites in Jerusalem was Uzzi, son of Bani, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micah. He was one of Asaph's descendants who were the singers in charge of the service of the house of God. For there was a command from the king concerning the singers, an ordinance regulating their daily activities. Pethahiah, son of Meshezabel, a descendant of Zerah, son of Judah, was the king's agent in every matter concerning the people. As for the villages with their fields, some of the people of Judah lived in Kiriath Arba, Dibon, Jekabzeel, and their villages. In Jeshua, Moladah, and Peth-Pelet, in Hasar Shual, in Beersheba and its villages, in Ziklag, in Mechonah and its villages, in Ramon, Zorah, Jarmuth, Zanoah, Adullam and their villages, in Lachish and its fields, and in Azekah and its villages. So they settled from Beersheba all the way to the valley of Hinnom. The descendants of Benjamin from Geba lived in Michmash, Aijah, and Bethel with its villages, in Anathoth, Nob, Ananiah, Hazor, Ramah, Gittaim, Hadid, Zebuim, Nebalat, Lod, and Ono, and in the valley of the craftsmen. And some divisions of the Levites of Judah settled in Benjamin. Now these were the priests and Levites who went up with Zerubbabel son of Shealtiel and with Jeshua: Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Malach, Hattush, Shechaniah, Rehum, Meremoth, Iddo, Ginnathon, Abijah, Mijamin, Mediah, Bilgah, Shemaiah, Joiarib, Jediah, Salu, Amok, Hilkiah, and Jediah. These were the leaders of the priests and their associates in the days of Jeshua. The Levites were Jeshua, Benui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mattaniah, who, with his associates, led the songs of thanksgiving. Bakbukiah and Unni, their associates, stood across from them in the services. Jeshua was the father of Joachim. Joachim was the father of Eliashib. Eliashib was the father of Joiada. Joiada was the father of Jonathan, and Jonathan was the father of Jaddua. In the days of Joachim, these were the heads of the priestly families. Of the family of Sariah, Moriah; of Jeremiah, Hananiah; of Ezra, Meshullam; of Amariah, Jehohanan; of Maluki, Jonathan; of Shebaniah, Joseph; of Haram, Adnah; of Marioth, Helkai; of Iddo, Zechariah; of Ginnathon, Meshullam; of Abijah, Zikri; of Miniamin; and of Moadiah, Piltai; of Bilgah, Shammua; of Shemaiah, Jonathan; of Joiarib, Mattani; of Jediah, Uzzi; of Salai, Kalai; of Amok, Eber; of Hilkiah, Hashabiah; and of Jediah, Nethanel. In the days of Eliashib, Joiada, Johanan, and Jaddua, during the reign of Darius the Persian, the heads of the families of the Levites and priests were recorded. As for the descendants of Levi, the family heads up to the days of Johanan, son of Eliashib, were recorded in the book of the Chronicles. The leaders of the Levites were Hashabiah, Sherebiah, and Jeshua, son of Kadmiel, along with their associates, who stood across from them to give praise and thanksgiving, as one section alternated with the other, as prescribed by David the man of God. Mattaniah, Bakbukiah, Obadiah, Meshullam, Talmon, and Akub were gatekeepers who guarded the storerooms at the gates. They served in the days of Joachim son of Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and in the days of Nehemiah the governor, and Ezra the priest and scribe. At the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, the Levites were sought out from all their homes and brought to Jerusalem to celebrate the joyous dedication with thanksgiving and singing, accompanied by cymbals, harps, and lyres. The singers were also assembled from the region around Jerusalem, from the villages of the Netophathites, and from Beth Gilgal, and from the fields of Geba and Asmaveth, for they had built villages for themselves around Jerusalem. After the priests and Levites had purified themselves, they purified the people, the gates, and the wall. Then I brought the leaders of Judah up on the wall, and I appointed 2 great thanksgiving choirs. One was to proceed along the top of the wall to the right, toward the dung gate. Hoshea and half the leaders of Judah followed, along with Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, Jeremiah, and some of the priests with trumpets, and also Zechariah, son of Jonathan, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micaiah, the son of Zachar, the son of Asaph, and his associates, Shemaiah, Azarel, Milalai, Gilalai, Mai, Nethanel, Judah, and Hanani, with the musical instruments prescribed by David the man of God. Ezra the scribe led the procession. At the fountain gate they climbed the steps of the city of David on the ascent to the wall and passed above the house of David to the water gate on the east. The second thanksgiving choir proceeded to the left, and I followed it with half the people along the top of the wall, past the tower of the ovens to the broad wall, over the gate of Ephraim, the Jeshanah gate, the fish gate, the tower of Hananel, and the tower of the 100 as far as the sheep gate. And they stopped at the gate of the guard. The 2 thanksgiving choirs then stood in the house of God, as did I, along with the half of the officials accompanying me, as well as the priests with their trumpets, Eliakim, Maaseiah, Miniamin, Micaiah, Elionai, Zechariah, and Hananiah, and also Maaseiah, Shemaiah, Eliezer, Uzzi, Jehohanan, Malchijah, Elam, and Ezer. Then the choirs sang out under the direction of Jezrahiah. On that day they offered great sacrifices, rejoicing because God had given them great joy. The women and children also rejoiced, so that the joy of Jerusalem was heard from afar. And on that same day men were appointed over the rooms that housed the supplies, contributions, firstfruits, and tithes. The portions specified by the law for the priests and Levites were gathered into these storerooms from the fields of the villages, because Judah rejoiced over the priests and Levites who were serving. They performed the service of their God and the service of purification, along with the singers and gatekeepers, as David and his son Solomon had prescribed. For long ago, in the days of David and Asaph, there were directors for the singers and for the songs of praise and thanksgiving to God. So in the days of Zerubbabel and Nehemiah, all Israel contributed to the daily portions for the singers and gatekeepers. They also set aside daily portions for the Levites, and the Levites set aside daily portions for the descendants of Aaron. At that time, the book of Moses was read aloud in the hearing of the people, and in it they found the passage stating that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever enter the assembly of God, because they had not met the Israelites with food and water, but had hired Balaam to call down a curse against them, although our God had turned the curse into a blessing. As soon as the people heard this law, they excluded from Israel all of foreign descent. Now before this, Eliashib the priest, a relative of Tobiah, had been put in charge of the storerooms of the house of our God, and had prepared for Tobiah a large room where they had previously stored the grain offerings, the frankincense, the temple articles, and the tithes of grain, new wine, and oil prescribed for the Levites, singers, and gatekeepers, along with the contributions for the priests. While all this was happening, I was not in Jerusalem, because I had returned to Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, in the 32nd year of his reign. Sometime later, I obtained leave from the king to return to Jerusalem. Then I discovered the evil that Eliashib had done on behalf of Tobiah by providing him a room in the courts of the house of God. And I was greatly displeased and threw all of Tobiah's household goods out of the room. Then I ordered that the rooms be purified, and I had the articles of the house of God restored to them, along with the grain offerings and frankincense. I also learned that because the portions for the Levites had not been given to them, all the Levites and singers responsible for performing the service had gone back to their own fields. So I rebuked the officials and asked, "Why has the house of God been neglected?" Then I gathered the Levites and singers together and stationed them at their posts, and all Judah brought a tenth of the grain, new wine, and oil into the storerooms. I appointed as treasurers over the storerooms Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the scribe, and Pedaiah of the Levites, with Hanan son of Zachar the son of Mattaniah to assist them, because they were considered trustworthy. They were responsible for distributing the supplies to their fellow Levites. Remember me for this, O my God, and do not blot out my deeds of loving devotion for the house of my God and for its services. In those days I saw people in Judah treading wine presses on the Sabbath and bringing in grain and loading it on donkeys, along with wine, grapes, and figs. All kinds of goods were being brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, so I warned them against selling food on that day. Additionally, men of Tyre who lived there were importing fish and all kinds of merchandise and selling them on the Sabbath to the people of Judah in Jerusalem. Then I rebuked the nobles of Judah and asked, "What is this evil you are doing, profaning the Sabbath day? Did not your forefathers do the same thing, so that our God brought all this disaster on us and on this city? And now you are rekindling his wrath against Israel by profaning the Sabbath." When the evening shadows began to fall on the gates of Jerusalem just before the Sabbath, I ordered that the gates be shut and not opened until after the Sabbath. I posted some of my servants at the gates so that no load could enter on the Sabbath day. Once or twice, the merchants and those who sell all kinds of goods camped outside Jerusalem, but I warned them, Why are you camping in front of the wall? If you do it again, I will lay hands on you." From that time on, they did not return on the Sabbath. Then I instructed the Levites to purify themselves and guard the gates in order to keep the Sabbath day holy. Remember me for this as well, O my God, and show me mercy according to your abundant, loving devotion. In those days I also saw Jews who had married women from Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. Half of their children spoke the language of Ashdod or of the other peoples, but could not speak the language of Judah. I rebuked them and called down curses on them. I beat some of these men and pulled out their hair. Then I made them take an oath before God and said, "You must not give your daughters in marriage to their sons, or take their daughters as wives for your sons or for yourselves." Did not King Solomon of Israel sin in matters like this? There was not a king like him among many nations, and he was loved by his God, who made him king over all Israel. Yet foreign women drew him into sin. Must we now hear that you too are doing all this terrible evil and acting unfaithfully against our God by marrying foreign women? Even one of the sons of Jehoiada, son of Eliashib the high priest, had become a son-in-law to Sanballat the Horonite. Therefore I drove him away from me. Remember them, O my God, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites. Thus I purified the priests and Levites from everything foreign, and I assigned specific duties to each of the priests and Levites. I also arranged for contributions of wood at the appointed times and for the firstfruits. Remember me, O my God, with favor. And now to the New Testament in Revelation chapter 8. Last time in Revelation in chapter 7, we saw that before God starts bringing judgment on the earth, he has his people sealed, those that were his servants. They were known to him. They were marked with a seal that showed that they were his, and there were 144,000 of them. There were 12,000 from each tribe of Israel, except Dan is not mentioned for some reason, and so we see that makes 144,000. And the point isn't that exact number. It's a symbolic number. But it is talking about how God knows the ones who belong to him, and there were quite a few on the earth at the time who were going to go through a major persecution that are faithful to the Lord. But there were also others who were already in heaven before the throne of God who had been through a great tribulation, and they were there because they had washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb. They had overcome through Christ. And so now they were in heaven and able to receive this great blessing and praise God forever. All right, well, let's continue our reading in Revelation chapter 8. When the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. And I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and they were given 7 trumpets. Then another angel who had a golden censer came and stood at the altar. He was given much incense to offer, along with the prayers of all the saints, on the golden altar before the throne. And the smoke of the incense, together with the prayers of the saints, rose up before God from the hand of the angel. Then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and hurled it to the earth. And there were peals of thunder, and rumblings, and flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. And the 7 angels with the 7 trumpets prepared to sound them. Then the first angel sounded his trumpet, and hail and fire mixed with blood were hurled down upon the earth. 1/3 of the earth was burned up, along with 1/3 of the trees and all the green grass. Then the second angel sounded his trumpet, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea. 1/3 of the sea turned to blood. 1/3 of the living creatures in the sea died, and 1/3 of the ships were destroyed. Then the third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star burning like a torch fell from heaven and landed on 1/3 of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter like wormwood oil, and many people died from the bitter waters. Then the fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun and moon and stars were struck. A third of the stars were darkened, and a third of the day was without light, and a third of the night as well. And as I observed, I heard an eagle flying overhead, calling in a loud voice, "Woe! Woe! Woe to those who dwell on the earth, because of the trumpet blasts about to be sounded by the remaining three angels." All right, in our reading today in Nehemiah, we saw the names of those who signed this document, this covenant and agreement about what they would do in following God's law, taking care of the priests and the temple, and making sure that they did not intermarry with the people of the land. And we saw that this was a big problem. Now, I'm not 100% sure of the timing, because he then talked about dedicating the wall. They had the choirs go up, and they had this big celebration with great joy. But then it talked about that previously, they read about how they were to be separated from the people of the land. But it says that previously they had been intermarrying. Even one of the sons of the high priest had married the daughter of Sanballat, who was one of their main enemies. And so Nehemiah chased him away. We also saw that Tobiah had a room prepared for him there at the house of God, in the courts of the house of God. It was just really bad. Another one of the main enemies of God's people, who had no right to be in that place, was given that big room. So this was something that they made a covenant not to do things like this, but I'm not clear if this happened after they made the covenant, or if this is more of an explanation of why they made the covenant. They even made the covenant that they would not buy things on the Sabbath from the foreigners that were selling them. And then we see what was happening where they were doing that. And then Nehemiah had to shut the gates early and threaten those that were camping outside the gates that they should not come on the Sabbath day to sell. And they put a stop to it. But again, I'm not entirely sure of the timing, because it says previously, sometime previously. And so I don't know if that was before they made the covenant or after. But certainly they should have known better whether they had made the covenant or not. And they really were doing some pretty terrible things. But Nehemiah was very zealous for the Lord and for his way. And so because of that, he asked the Lord to remember him with favor, with grace. And I'm sure the Lord did. I think that's very clear. And hopefully we have this same kind of zeal for the Lord's way as well. In Revelation 8 today, we read about these angels given 7 trumpets. So the 7th seal opens, and inside of that are these 7 trumpets. And when each one is blown, something happens, a judgment from God. A big part of the earth is being affected, but up till this point, it hasn't been the worst, because at the end, the eagle cries out, "Woe to those who dwell on the earth, because of the 3 that are left, that are about to blow." So there's going to be a continued major judgment that God is bringing against these who have persecuted his people. All right, well, that's the reading for today. Join me again tomorrow when, Lord willing, we'll continue on with this Berean pursuit.